Step 1, select Sketchbook app and then select the plus button at the bottom of the screen. Now you are going to add an image to gallery. Click on this button and then that will take you to this selection where you do import photo, the one in the middle. You click on import photo and that will take you to your camera roll, and then you select the portrait that you're going to work on. Change the image quality by clicking on the left hand box, then select 5000 and this will change the pixelation to improve the quality of the image. Press create and it will then import the image. You can zoom in or out on the image just by pinching on it. Step 2, looking at the column on the right hand side, this indicates that Taylor Swift is on the bottom of the pile of paper. The blue square around her indicates that this is the layer that we're working on, and this slider bar that I'm sliding along changes the opacity of the image. So I've got it set at 50% there, so we can still see the image, but it's slightly more faint than it was. Make sure that you add another layer on top of the image so that you're not working directly on top of the photograph and you're working on a fresh sheet. I'm now selecting this pen tool to draw with. I've got the colour set to black. There I've changed it to yellow. Now I'm changing it back to black. You can also change the thickness of the tool, so you can slide this bar along like so, and you can make it thicker or thinner. You want to have it set almost as far as it can go so it's nice and thick. Now using only line, you're going to draw your portrait in the style of Julian Opie. So that means you're outlining the basic shapes, you're not adding too much detail, and you're going to treat the facial features in the same way that Julian Opie does. What I like to do to be able to do the facial features is to zoom in on my screen. So here I'm going in with my fingers, pinching in the screen to make it easier for me to see the eyes. Remember, the eyes are two arches with two circles. If you make a mistake, you can press the arrow at the top as I just did there, and it will go back a step. You can click it twice and it will go back 2 steps, or you can use the rubber at the bottom here and you can rub out, like you would with a normal rubber, the section that you don't want. Remember to keep checking that you're working on the correct layer. Sometimes it's quite easy to go back to the actual original layer and then get mixed up with which layer you're actually working on. So always work on the layer above the photograph. Once you have finished doing this, you can then check your lines to make sure that you've not missed any sections. So I'm going to click now on my opacity bar and I'm sliding it along so I can now see where I am with my finished portrait. Lastly, you just need to make sure that all of your black lines don't leave any gaps. So here I've just illustrated where there are 2 gaps. It's important to close these gaps so that when it comes to colouring in, the colour that you pour onto your digital image doesn't flood out into lots of different sections, and you can contain the colour that you pour onto certain sections. So here I'm just closing up any tiny little gaps that I have with my black lines. In the next lesson, you will learn how to add the colour to make it look like a Julian Opie style portrait.